I wanted more than anything for my baby girl to be home, but I was so scared of what ultimately has become my reality.
Ever since she was little, she just got along with everybody, cared about everybody, and I don't know, it's just her personality, the person she was. Everybody was drawn to her. She made everybody happy.
Emily was a very bubbly, fun-spirited, kind-hearted, genuine young girl. She was always with a smile on her face and always made everyone else smile. She lit up a room. She made strangers feel like friends and friends feel like family.
Always. There wasn't any times when Emily wasn't bubbly, fun, lit up a room when she walked into it. Yeah. So we live in Milan, Ohio, a very small village. We're called, we're so tiny we still go to the post office to get our mail. They don't deliver it. I chose this community to raise my kids in because of the school system and just because of the great sense of community and camaraderie here.
Emily's sophomore year in high school is when she was first exposed to opiates, as she required a surgery to one of her kidneys. She was involved in an automobile accident in which the side of her car was T-boned at 55 miles an hour by another vehicle.
When she was taken to the emergency room and scans were done, they found a spot on one of her kidneys, and they weren't sure if that was cancer or not. So the decision was made that they wanted to go ahead and do surgery and find out sooner rather than later if it in fact was cancer or not. So she had that surgery. Wasn't cancer, but that was her first time that she was prescribed opiates. The summer before her senior year, she had her wisdom teeth out, and after she was finished with her initial prescription of painkillers, she complained of horrendous amounts of pain. I thought maybe she had dry sockets, took her back to the dentist, and they confirmed that everything was fine. She was feeling fine. I didn't realize even then, now I do in retrospect, that that was her seeking out the opiates.
I noticed it a little after high school, and I mean, I went through the same path she did, so like I had red flags going up, and I've, brought it up to Kim, and like we just kind of watched her to see what she was doing. We didn't know for sure if it was just alcohol or drugs, or we thought she wouldn't be that kind of person that would do something like that.
She graduated high school in June 2015. In August of 2015, she was finally able to come to me and let me know that it was heroin that she was involved with, that she knew she had a bad problem, and that she knew she wanted help. Emily left on a plane down to Florida 2 days later and attended a detox facility.
Detox is usually 5 to 7 days. That's the medical side of treatment. And that is removing whatever chemicals or substances are in the body. So alcohol, heroin, opiates, benzos, that comes out there.
And then 30 days of PHP at a treatment center.
And that's called partial hospitalization plan, although it has nothing to do with the hospital. It's a step down from residential. It's usually 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, day treatment. Sometimes it has a live-in component that they'll bus them back to a halfway or sober living, but they could come without that.
After that, she was enrolled in IOP through a few different centers for the next couple months.
IOP, which is intensive outpatient, and that's usually 6 weeks. It's 3 hours a day, 3 times a week. Usually no live-in component. The Florida model does have a live-in sober living they bus them back to, And then the step down from there is sober living with outpatient, so OP, meaning therapy session 1 or 2 times a week, going to meetings, things like that.
None of which were really beneficial to her.
I received a phone call at 11 p.m. at night. It was from a Florida number, so I answered it, and on the other end was a nurse letting me know that they had Emily with them. She was in intensive care, and she had had 12 seizures that day. And they were able to resuscitate her, but from her having a concussion and having brain injury from that accident back in her sophomore year of high school, her brain restarting brought forth that activity again.
So in the brain, the best way to describe it to you, if you put your 2 fists up and hold them up there and open one hand and then open the other one and then go back and forth. So open and close, that's how your brain fires. When you do heroin, both fists stay closed. And the heroin comes up the center of your 2 hands, and what it does is it floods your brain with serotonin and dopamine, and your brain feels fantastic. It's amazing. It's like 1,000 times better than your own natural brain juice. Well, when you stop taking heroin, your brain doesn't fire. And it takes up to 6 months to get your brain and body firing back the way it should be.
By this time, it had been over a year since Emily had been home, and she wanted to come home to be around her familiar friends and family members. She was homesick. I wanted more than anything for my baby girl to be home, but I was so scared of what ultimately has become my reality. I didn't want her coming back here because we had already lost quite a few of her friends from this extremely small rural area that we live in. I negotiated with Emily. I told her that if she could show me 30 days of clean time, as well being started on the Vivitrol shot, then I would allow her to come home. November 30th, I reluctantly let her come home.
New Year's Eve, Em went out with her friends to a party, was drinking, and now I know she was doing Xanax then also, and then that led to her using heroin. She woke up the next morning with a needle in her purse, she told me.
I put a plea out on social media asking for Emily's friends to help me find where she was staying because I knew the people she was with didn't have her best interest at heart or in mind.
There are a couple adults stepped up, but no kids really stepped up. Until later in the evening, I was able to contact one of her friends that I knew had been to this house and told them that they needed to give me the address because I needed to go find her. And I was finally given an address, but it wasn't a correct one. 2 of the numbers had been transposed.
And I wish she would have made it through. She didn't deserve to go be out of this world so early. You know, I wanted to have my nieces and nephews from her. I wanted her to meet my son, her nephew. She just, we had so many plans for that coming up summer. Because she was clean and I was clean, and it just sucks that we're not going to have that again.
I know some of her friends didn't step up and say anything because they didn't want to be labeled as a snitch or have Emily possibly mad at them. But sometimes your friends don't recognize for themselves that they do need help.
Speaking from experience, you don't tell people's parents, or you're not going to be a friend anymore, you're not going to be in the drug game anymore with them, they'll leave you out. I feel like when you use, you have your little group of people, and you stick with that group of people. Even if you fall off track for a year because you're getting high, you always end up getting back up for connections or whatever. So people they're more worried about their own addiction. And
Wouldn't you rather have a friend mad at you for a little while because you took the time to care than not say anything at all and have them gone forever?
I think that they were, I think that they didn't realize that this would happen. They didn't think that this would ever happen. They didn't want to have any responsibility for it. They were scared, didn't want Emily mad at them. Most of the time, the people that need help don't realize or don't see it for themselves that they do need help. So that's when it's up to us to care and to be kind and to speak out for someone that can't speak out for themselves.
Please speak up. Please say something. You can make a difference. Stop the silence. Start surviving. It starts with you.